So we will now have a short Q&A panel. We will invite the consul from the Indian Embassy to join us, please, and the Chinese student. So this is your chance now, everybody, to ask your final questions about anything that you want to know more about recruiting students from China and India, about the Chinese and Indian experience here in Israel, questions about the presentations. Now is the time. I'm going to pass on the microphone. Please have a seat.
Before you start with the questions, there is one question that was raised by, I think, you. And the question was that, I guess, if I understood correctly, was that all these entrance exams that students appear in India, all these competitive exams to get into this PhD programs or to get into these top engineering colleges, can you reuse those results to recruit in your university? Is that the question, or can you ask it once again?
Well, no, from an internal perspective, we need to go through. Obviously, we'd need to evaluate and formulate a policy regarding our internal admissions procedures, which were built to reflect the Israeli admissions procedures, which we have a psychometry, which is equivalent to an SAT. Now, if we were looking at alternatives to that, one option would be an exam like the JED. Now, if we're looking at numbers that are so large, and taking normal distribution into account, and we're looking at people in the top 95th, 96th, 97th percentile that didn't make it into the IITs, I'm going to go ahead and assume that they are people that have gotten few answers wrong ever. So the question is not if we can rely on them, but whether we can contact the organization and the organization will share those results with us.
Okay, so I give you a different answer. First of all, let me give you, first of all, it's a very excellent idea that you are talking about. And it's not just the first time you're talking about, because there are two countries that I know of which is already using this idea, this method of recruiting. One is NTU Singapore, National Technology University, Nanyang Technology University, Singapore. Another university is another bunch of TU universities, Technische Universität universities in Germany. What they are doing is that they are not going through this bureaucratic process of contacting those CBSE board who is organizing the exam, and because that goes through a lot of bureaucracy. They are using a very simple method. What they do is, okay, first let me talk about the client side, the students who appear for these exams. When you appear for these exams, after the results are declared, you get a scorecard. You get a result card. Now what they do is, these universities, they say that if you have scored 98 percentile, you can directly you can apply for our university and with that scorecard, and then you can directly appear for, let's say, a Skype interview. Or they have their, or sometimes it happens that this bunch of 10 German universities, they recruit one international officer and one professor, and this whole delegation comes sometimes to India, and then they directly, this is not through any government process. And now what they do is, they schedule interviews of all these students who have already applied to those universities using those scorecards, and they do these live interviews there in India, in, let's say, in New Delhi, and they are offered, and if they are impressed with the interview performance, they give them on-spot offers.
But how do they listen?
Yes.
So the issue is verification.
So my answer to your question is that two things is already these two countries are doing this, and they are not interested in the JEE, in the undergraduate field. There is another exam you give to enter for doing your MTech and PhD, like Masters and PhD, and that is called GATE, Graduate Aptitude Test in Engineering. So they are asking them to present their GATE scorecard for doing this. And you have some question.
I understand how to do it, to use these scores.
Yeah.
How do I let the students know about this opportunity? Do I contact the institutions that teach them how, that prepare them, or do I advertise somewhere? How?
First and foremost is to add it to your website. in the when people are clicking to the prospective students in your, and then they are going to the masters, and then they are going to the how to apply section. If you really you want to implement this policy in your university, then the first and foremost thing is to do it in your website. Because if you remember in the today's morning presentation of Megan Brett, she said that the first thing that the international students do is they look at your website when they are interested to study at your university. Of course, the other things, the marketing thing, there is no limit to that.
No, but can I approach the institutions that prepare for the CBSE and cooperate with them in some way, or can I, let's go to the CBSE itself and have a person that gives leaflets? What are the strategies? My
recommendation will be that is more bureaucratic. It's, I always prefer things that are more easier and less bureaucratic. So I would prefer, let's say, maybe to advertise it in the university itself, where the students are, for example, if you are appearing for this GATE exam, you are right now studying at one of the premier engineering universities. Now advertising it at the university, but not through the CBSE, because their role is to organize the exam. And to, again, I mean,
there are private institutions that prepare for the CBSE exams. They could be partners to advertise it to their students.
Oh yeah, of course. The institutions who prepare them for appearing these exams, for them this is a very good offer, because then they can tell them that even if you don't qualify for this exam to get into Indian universities, you still have several other options to go abroad.
Even 90 in the CBSE exam is a good score. It's, for my experience.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't need 98.
So, yeah. So what I mean is that you can first and foremost changes you can do is in your website, and the other things that you can do is as much as you want the marketing.
Any more questions?
What do you think of Mr. Sanjeev also mentioned that print advertising is still a very popular method in India? By the way, I'm from Singapore. Yeah. It's right and not right that NTU is the only university. I used to work for SIM and informatics, and this is what we used to do. What we do is we go there at the right time, and then we just do print advertising and do live interview. We've been doing it for many years. Yeah. So print advertising, do you agree that is one of the best methods to reach the parents and students?
Yes and no. First of all, yes, because that's right now is a very good option to reach to them, and yes, print media is being read by people very aggressively in India. So yes, and why no? Because there is a conception, or you call it misconception, in Indian minds that if some university is advertising itself in newspaper, that means they are not competitive. That's why they are advertising that they are looking for students. So yes and no. So you have to do it very diplomatically, I would say.
Yes, please.
At this point, the Indian students already know their CBSE scores for this year for the 12th grade, or it's not yet that published?
In fact, I think if I recall correctly, the first tier of the common entrance test is scheduled for 6th of April.
So it's still a time to advertise for them for next year if they get, if they see a
for next year, you
late.
2015.
No, 2014.
Yeah,
They get the result for 6th of April. Some of them will not get what they want.
The results will be out sometime in May.
So what happens with someone who doesn't get what he wants?
Well, they'll start applying to universities.
So it's still a time you can catch them in it.
Theoretically, yes, but I think if you really want to go out with a coordinated awareness campaign, etc., probably next academic session, 2015, would be a better date.
And another question, I was browsing once through the IIT's websites, and I saw that they put the names and emails of all the students, even undergraduate students. And I was wondering, why is that? They're looking to universities and companies to approach them, or it was strange for me.
I mean, in India, we do. I mean, for example, in Europe, if they do that, the students can sue them. Privacy is a very big concern. But India, there is we don't care about privacy. I mean, you can find mobile phone numbers of even big shots.
No, but they want people to approach the students. It's
what was the context? What was the context in which those names?
I was browsing. I was looking to market our summer program. And I was looking through the universities, how to contact them, to tell them about our summer program. And then I found email of students that say, we have a program in electrical engineering, then I can let electrical engineering students know about it. So it was strange for me. You'll never see emails and names of undergraduate students in the university's websites.
Are you sure they were not those of the alumni or
It was like
existing students? I'm not aware of the context, but if you point me to the website, I'll definitely have.
a few IITs.
Of course, but now what I said, that privacy is not an issue, and I made you all laugh, but this also reminds me another interesting thing. If you go to the website of INSEAD, which is the world's second best business school, yeah, so you can see the email address of all the current and alumni very easily, yeah. In fact, I also once emailed one of the, because they foster the relationship of these students with the outer world. Sorry? No. It's public. You just have to click. You have to go inside. So so I take back that word that
Maybe
the privacy is.
maybe that's because they have an Indian dean now.
I'm sorry, Fred?
Just, you both the students mentioned your cultural experience in Israel. Was there any cultural sensitivity that you felt Israelis were missing that we should know about? Or student life in general, things like support, like where to shop or how things work here that you think would be helpful for future students that you didn't get?
For example, in my case, the Ben Gurion University has a very strong overseas student program, OSP. Now, they publish a brochure every year for these OSP students, where this brochure, you can download it online. It's, let's say, 10, 15 pages brochure where they talk about all these things, about the places where you can shop, where the places where you can go for dinner, and the prices, the normal, all the information that a student needs. So I guess, yes, if every university publishes this kind of small brochure, and if this is located in the international section of your website, because having it at the right place is also important. So if students can reach them within 3 clicks, then it could be really useful.
Yes,
If I can add on this, we have some experience of some Indian students telling us that in Bar Ilan University, I think there's some issues with dormitories. So students are then Indian students are then staying outside, so they can't stay on campus. And they had some issues with landlords haunting them for things like dysfunctional AC, dysfunctional this and that, for which they said that they were not responsible, but they had great difficulties, like sometimes some small litigation source. And in Haifa University, some of the students complained that they had to pay more, and then the people who are dealing with overseas students program, they are not more, they are not trained, how to deal with foreigners. Maybe they face some, in terms of paying also, they have to pay twice the amount than the Israeli student would pay for dormitories. There were the issues, which could have been avoided to make them more, feeling more welcome in your universities.
I guess also contracts as well.
Well, okay. For the Chinese students, we really expect to get brochures, talking about Israeli local food. Because we don't want to eat falafel shawarma every day. It's disaster. Okay. And food is I would say like that it's a top priority for the Chinese students. Okay.
If I can just go back to what you mentioned about the names of students on the IIT websites, it just struck me that, and I'm thinking aloud because I haven't seen that website. In India, we have by law a requirement under the Right to Information Act for the sake of transparency. For every government-funded institute to publish a lot of details for the consumption, for knowledge. It could be because of that. So by law, in fact, they would also be asked to publish online the names of their faculty members, their salaries, the works. It could be because of that.
And to maybe follow up on that question, Mr. Singh, are the JEE results published online?
Yes, they are actually available online on the CBSE website when they are announced. Yes.
With a student number or with a student
I'm
as
not
an
aware.
institution?
Yes. Yes.
If a student
As an outsider, yes, I understand your question. I'll have to check into that. I'm not aware. No.
CBSE for sure. puts it an identity number if he sends you.
Okay, further questions? Any more questions?
When is the best time to contact a prospective student? For India, for example, I know that after the 10th boards in 11th grade, they kind of relax a little bit in the studies. So if you contact them in 11th grade, they're not really thinking about university, and then around 12th they start to think about it. So is it better to contact them in 10th, or after 11th, or during 11th, or how does that?
I would say in between 11th, 12th. Yeah. 10th might be too early, may not be too early, but I guess the fire in the minds of the students starts right when they finish off their 11th, and they know that next year they are going to appear exams.
You know, I'll nuance it slightly. As he also mentioned in their culture, and I think I also touched upon in my presentation, it's true of our culture also. There's a huge amount of influence of the parents in making a decision. And if a child is still in class 10, 11, 12, what I'll suggest is you have to create awareness among the parents more than the child. For the child himself or herself, I suppose, once he or she is in undergrad, especially at the end of first year or second year, that's a huge time. By the time the person is matured enough, he's heard enough from his or her seniors, it's a good time to intervene. So probably it'll have to be a two-pronged approach. And if there are any more ideas you're looking for, any specific information you have in the niche areas you're looking for, as I mentioned in my presentation, you're most welcome to send us queries. We'll be happy to answer them to the best of our ability.
Okay. For summer school, if you want to contact Chinese students, it's better to do after February, which means after the Spring Festival. And if it is academic degrees, you should contact the Chinese students after September, and before February. It's you know, after the new semester starts and before the start of Spring Festival. Okay.
Any more questions from the audience? Okay, so I would like to thank all our speakers for coming here today. Thank you so much. It's been very informative and very efficient for everybody. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
And if
you
you
all.
have